Yo, man, welcome back to the channel, man. Y'all see from the title, we got by Trapler Russ. Y'all see from the title. Shout out to Trapler Russ. If y'all don't want to see my original reaction, the original link to the video will be down below in the description down below. Let's get to it.
All right, young Dolph was shot in broad daylight.
A man who proclaimed to be the, quote, king of Memphis. The same streets he loved so much is where he would take his last breath.
This Ridge Credit, that's where your boy started out at, right here on these same streets.
Now, there was some sort of altercation between you and Yo Gotti a while back.
All right, this is the intro, so we're just gonna get into it because all this intro is just gonna be like his introducing it. So we're just gonna skip through it.
Hey, look, it's your boy.
Let's get to it now, yo.
Here's the video. Memphis stands alone as one of America's most cultural.
Like, subscribe, share, man. Like I said, man, if y'all want to go watch the original link will be down below in the description. Shout out to Trapler Ross. I love watching his videos. He got great videos to watch. And yeah, shout out to Trapler Ross, y'all.
And historically significant cities. It's the birthplace of the blues and home to Sun Studio, where legends like Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash helped pioneer rock and roll. However, Memphis has also been a city of gangs for a very long time. Gangs that started as simple street crews doing petty robberies and drug dealing, but as the crack epidemic worsened all over America, including Memphis, there were also more specialized and well-organized gangs, or what the newspapers were calling mafia-style operations, handling the drug trade in the city. One of the most known was the Boven family, which included members like Dirty Red, Skinny Pimp, and Scarface, who according to the feds operated the largest drug ring in the city's history. This gang, which specialized in trafficking cocaine from LA to Memphis, was led by the ringleader Eric Boven, whose name you'll hear mentioned again much later in this story, as two people part of Boven's organization were Linda Faye Mims and Jeanette Boven, wife of Eric, who were both aunts of the rapper Yo Gotti, real name Mario Centrell Gideon Mims. Yet still, the local authorities were trying to claim that there were currently no organized street gangs operating in Memphis, although some gang members from Los Angeles had tried setting up operations there. This was of course as far from the truth as possible, and during the 90s, the gang problem
Disciples 53% Crips. So people from Chicago and Bloods and Crips from LA. Labels. Lakers, Royals, Bulls. That is crazy, bro. They got the Disciples out there. They got Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples in Memphis. That is crazy. Well, that's not really crazy because you people like you a lot of they move to the East Coast. They move to like these other cities and states, and they just bring their stuff what they're with from LA or Chicago or even New York to that state, and then it just grows even more and more and more. You know what I'm saying?
would completely explode in the city, as the Bloods and Crips would also become an inescapable part of the city's gangscape. But something else would also take place, as the wicked streets of Memphis inspired a completely new rap subgenre to form in the city, with uniquely dark lyrics and beats that combine the stories from the gang life with otherworldly lyrics about worshipping the devil. Coming into the 90s, the crack epidemic was reaching its peak, bringing violence to all-time highs, with Memphis being no exception. Facilitating both much of the drug trade and the violence were the street gangs, which now included numerous Blood and Crip sets who had spread their influence from the West Coast all over to America in an effort to take over the national dope game. This included gangs like the Grape Street Crips, the Rollin' 60s and Rollin' 20s, and the Hoovers on the Crip side, as well as the Harvard Park Brims, Red Clover Gangsters, and Pyrus on the Blood side. Many of these gangs at the time operated from the infamous public housing projects in Memphis that have since been demolished, like Hurt Village, Foot Homes, and Lemoyne Gardens, which was home to a GD set known as the LMG, aka Lemoyne Gardens Mafia, or Love Murdering Gangsters. This gang became one of the largest and most feared in South Memphis, committing everything from robberies and car thefts to kidnappings and murders. Their leader, George Hewlett, aka G-Train, would himself be accused of numerous serious crimes through the 90s, but in the end, he would end up being caught by the ops before the law could get him, as he was ambushed outside of a South Memphis club in 1999. But right before he was killed, G-Train tried to cement the LMG's legacy in music too, forming a rap group called the LMG Mafia, who in 1998 dropped an album called Southside Soldiers. In the intro, G-Train would set the tone of the album with his gritty voice while talking over a raw, dark beat with an eerie melody and a sample of a woman screaming in the background. This haunting sound was far from accidental. It was part of a much larger wave that had been developing in Memphis already in the late 80s, when an artist named DJ Spanish Fly was dominating the Memphis underground with his slowed down beats, eerie samples, and gangster-themed lyrics that he brought to the local club scene. He not only pioneered the sound, but also helped spark an iconic Memphis dance called gangster walking, or the G-Walk, which was born when DJ Spanish Fly was behind the turntables and the previously mentioned Boven family gang members brought their own move, the Boven Walk, to the dance floor. Spanish Fly's sound would also end up inspiring many other up-and-coming DJs and producers, one of these being DJ Squeaky, who started making the sound even more dark and hard-hitting with his innovative use of drum machines.
Yeah. Now, when you speak of DJ Squeaky, man, for those who don't really know who he is, could you explain who the legendary DJ Squeaky is?
Squeaky is the first producer I ever heard to make them hard beats with the hi-hats going in on. And another.
Yeah.
So everybody really came up off Squeaky's sound. Squeaky was the first one that had that gangster sound with that bass in it, the snare.
Sometimes I wonder, like, how to, like, when you produce like beats, like how do like people, you know, saying come with the beats and all that, like produce, like just like how people like, you know, some going there and figure out what beats they want and making like what sounds. I try to make a beat by myself, and the beat I made sounded trash. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just a skill and talent that people have that can make beats on their own and make a living off of that, because I feel like that takes time and all that, especially like producing it. And then you're saying if you make a living off of that by making beats and producing, like, dang, you good, you made it. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody else was doing like some them type of hi-hats, 1/8.
Yeah.
Squeaky had the 116, the 132, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Amongst the next generation of rappers and producers came DJ Paul and Juicy J, who both DJ'd at local
Juicy
clubs
J.
and sold their own mixtapes. Paul also rapping with his brother Lord Infamous under the group name Serial Killers. Paul and Juicy would eventually come together at the beginning of the 90s, creating a rapper-producer duo who were heavily inspired by the new Memphis sound they were hearing, even to the point they often went to sampling the songs of artists who were hot at the time, which caused some of these artists like DJ Zerk to later claim that Paul and Juicy had basically stolen their sound.
But we thought at the time we the only ones that could do the sound. We didn't know that we was gonna influence other people, you know? So we looking like, man, who is this with this our sound? You know, cause people would sample us. You know, it's like one DJ in Memphis, I didn't even know, you know what I'm saying? He was trying to make it come up. And somebody pulled up right beside me and said, "Hey man, you hear your vocals on such and such stuff, you know, on somebody else's stuff, you know." When
no, you don't want to say the name, but I'm gonna say it. 3-6. So they kind of ran off with the sound. Did you ever confront them or about this or?
Yeah. We don't confront them. I'll tell you too, I done had to chase Paul and Juicy J a couple of times. You know, I really have. They was right here. And they would tell you, yeah, I ran from them, you know what I'm saying? Because I was mad, you know what I'm saying? It's because, like I say, I come from a hip hop era. And like I say, people thought that Paul was a part of us. So it was building him a little bit momentum, you know what I'm saying? Because he would sample me on this song. I'm like, I don't even know who the little kid is, you know what I'm saying?
However, Paul and Juicy would also in many ways evolve the existing sound with their love for horror movies, fresh sample choices, and undeniably catchy hooks, while the artists they would sign under them, like Paul's brother Lord Infamous, Gangsta Boo, Crunchy Black, Coops Decay, and numerous others, who would make music so undeniable that even people outside Memphis would take notice. Together they formed a supergroup known as 3-6 Mafia, who would in 1995 release their debut studio album, Mystic Styles, which first brought the Memphis sound to a larger nationwide audience, with music critics later recognizing it as a game-changing project and the beginning of the darker side of hip-hop. But there were also numerous other names that would help make the 90s Memphis rap scene a phenomenon that's still influencing the modern sound today. DJ Sound and his rap group, the Fraser Clique, which also included a young kid called Lil Yo, better now known as none other than Yo Gotti.
When I was these young sads, man, I was over here running wild, man, thinking of a plan to come
so
up.
Yo Gotti been out there for a little minute. Damn. So Yo Gotti, but so Yo Gotti been out there, been in the game for a little minute. Then I didn't know that. Okay, I ain't know that. I ain't know he. You know, so I ain't know he been in the game for a little minute. You know what I'm saying?
This when I started at Ridge Chris Shady Vista, baby. Recorded my first song right down there in DJ Sound House. Mike in the closet, board. I don't think they had mixed boards back then. I don't know what we were recording on.
Just for the way you can tell he's from Memphis. Just about like every Memphis like has that accent from him, from Pooh Shiesty, even from Dolph, from even though I know, you know what I'm saying, some of them was probably beefing, you know what I'm saying, beefing, but that's not my sort of detail, you know what I'm saying, but yeah.
Who would rap about hearing the devil telling him to kill and calling himself a cop killer possessed by demons despite barely being a teenager at the time. Yo Gotti would also continue to evolve his career during this time, changing to a much more mainstream friendly style, with his early hits like Shorty in 2006 landing him a record deal with an Atlanta-based label that also included best-selling artists like Lil Jon and the Yin Yang Twins. Coming into the 2010s, a new generation of gangs would again begin to form.
Okay, here, yeah, but we Jesus Christ. My older said, but Yahuwah, Yahshua, Yahuwah. Yeah, y'all know the real. Yahshua, Yahuwah. Y'all know the real.
In Memphis, this time being made up of members who were increasingly young and prone to violence. And coming into the 2010s, right as Memphis was starting to make another come up in the rap game, with a record number of artists breaking through to the mainstream, the violence would begin to shoot back up too, as the gangs associated with these rappers would soon become embroiled in a war that would eventually also end up taking the life of the city's biggest star. During the 2000s and 2010s, the gangs of Memphis...
You know what's sad, yo? I think it's somewhere in the Bible that says it too. I think it's like, once you make it to where your own city knows who you are, you got to move out. Like, you got to move out the city, the state. It says once you make it, you got to leave the state, because jealousy and hate from your own city, from your own peoples that, you know, same proud grew up with you, is going to be hated because you're doing so good while they're miserable with their life and they jealous. Now, yeah, you can visit, but you got to be careful of what you surround you. That's what I said. When you make it big, or not make it big, but I'm saying like when you make it like big enough to where like you can start buying things that you probably weren't able to buy. You got to move out because people in your city gonna be in your own town gonna be jealous and they're gonna hate you for no reason. They have nothing to hate on you just because you're doing better for yourself where they're being miserable, you know what I'm saying?
Increasingly splinter into numerous small neighborhood cliques, or what the police call hybrid gangs, made up of members that rep many different traditional gangs like the Bloods, Crips, GDs, and Vice Lords, and some would become so popular or infamous that they attracted youths far beyond the active core members. And as people would later reminisce on social media, if you grew up in Memphis in the late 2000s and early 2010s, there's a chance that you repped one of...
My bad, y'all. Let's get back into it, though.
These gangs, such as the Trula Mafia, Goon Squad Mafia, Fast Cash Boys, Fam Mob, King Gate Mafia, or Young Mob. These gangs came from roughly two different parts of the city, North Memphis and South Memphis. In North Memphis, the most infamous gang was likely the Fam Mob, which according to Memphis police, was started all the way back in 2000 and was still active in areas like Frayser, North Haven, Raleigh, and Millington, although their main headquarters were at two low-income housing projects in Frayser, the Ridgecrest Apartments, which they called Afghanistan, and the Greenbrier Apartments, which was named Iraq. According to the lore told by the police, Fam Mob was started by a group of 8 youngsters who were kicked out of the Gangster Disciples because they were acting so wild they were bringing heat to the entire gang. And the name Fam, according to the cops, is actually an acronym that stands for F Almighty, with Almighty being a reference to the Vice Lords, who are also known as the Almighty Vice Lord Nation, as Vice Lords were also very active in North Memphis, and Fam Mob were clearly not fans. This is why the gang would also spell the name FVM, meaning that the A is inverted to disrespect the Vice Lords. Fam Mob would grow up to be 150 members strong by the mid-2010s, and they'd often end up in the local news for committing crimes from assaults and robberies to drug and gun sales and even murders. And the city would eventually set up safety zones at the Ridgecrest and Greenbrier projects that banned members of Fam Mob from associating with each other in public. But during the early 2010s, the members of Fam Mob would also start a music group known as the FMG, with at least one meaning for this moniker being the Finesse Music Group. This crew included rappers like Bezel, Source, and Birdo. The Ridgecrest Apartments, where the Fam Mob had their so-called headquarters, according to the Memphis police, are the very same projects where Yo Gotti originally hailed from.
This considered the Bay Area. We just left the north, now we're in the Bay. This Ridgecrest, that's where your boy started out at, right here on these same streets.
While Yo Gotti would also rep another area in North Memphis around Garland Street and had even been associated with Fan Mob's enemies, the Vice Lords, in some rumors, as he would rap on the 2017.
I think that means, listen, Yo Gotti, he been in there for a little minute. And he made it now he can just sit back, relax, sign motherfuckers, make that money. He good. I'm saying, but he probably still connect to the streets because that's where he started. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Song One on One with YFN Lucci and Meek Mill, he would seemingly become somewhat affiliated with the Fan Mob during the 2010s, and particularly the FMG crew, who were often repping Gotti's CMG label on social media, with some FMG members also rocking CMG chains, and guys like FMG Source, aka Source the Boss, even seemingly being part of Yo Gotti's entourage at times. Fan Mob were also affiliated with other gangs from North Memphis, such as Fast Cash, aka the Fast Cash Boys or FCB, as well as Stack Squad, aka Stack Squad Money Gang or SSMG, a crew who were seemingly so close with each other that the Memphis police considered them one gang, which according to them had been founded around 2011. Many of the members seemingly hailed from the area around the Raleigh Egypt High School in Raleigh, and according to Memphis police, Fast Cash was also another so-called hybrid gang, with members from traditional gangs coming together, and their name too would be associated with numerous serious crimes in the local newspapers. But Fast Cash were also very popular through their music, with their group that simply went by the name Fast Cash Boys, originally including the members C Money, C Jizzle, TP Stacks, and Money, having real underground hit songs going all the way back to the early 2010s, while the Stack Squad would also drop music, particularly a rapper called Ace Boogie, who had a considerable local following. Like FMG and Fan Mob, Fast Cash Boys have for a long time seemingly been associated with the Yo Gotti CMG. Meanwhile, in South Memphis, the most infamous gang was allegedly the Young Mob, aka Young Mob Military or YMM, which was founded in the mid to late 2000s and hailed particularly from the Walker homes and the surrounding neighborhoods like Westwood. Like Fan Mob, Young Mob's name would begin to be mentioned in the local news in the early 2010s in relation to numerous serious crimes, the most tragic being the murder of a 7-year-old girl in 2015. But like Fan Mob and Fast Cash, Young Mob has also produced numerous rappers, the first one to receive significant fame being OG Boo Dirty, who would rep Young Mob in music already in the late 2000s and begun receiving national attention with his music in the very early 2010s, getting signed with Gucci Mane's 1017 Brick Squad label, the reasons for that perhaps being Gucci and Boo Dirty's shared hatred for Yo Gotti, but more about that later. Boo Dirty also had a brother called Stupid Duke, or Spooky Duke, these two allegedly being among the founding members.
Ain't Gucci Mane from Atlanta? How he got...
of Young Mob, including also CEO or BEO Lil Kenny, and Kenny would begin to rap a few years later than Boo Dirty, while Stupid Duke would only begin to rap a few years ago after serving a 9-year sentence. Other notable Young Mob members included Big Motor, whose 2015 music video for the song Live with Kevin Gates has almost 2 million views, Kenny Money, who is also signed to Young Dolph's PRE label, and Moneybag Yo, who is originally from the Walker homes and was allegedly part of the Young Mob before having a falling out with his gang, but more about that also later. Like Fan Mob in the north, Young Mob also had a few gangs in South Memphis that they were close with, such as the Kinggate Mafia, particularly Goon Squad Mafia. Kinggate Mafia, aka KGM, hailed from the former Kinggate apartments located in the Whitehaven area, which is better known by the locals as Blackhaven. These projects are now partly demolished and known as the New Horizon Apartments. KGM also had some rappers like Ray Gutter, who dropped several songs and music videos with tens of thousands of views in the early 2010s. Goon Squad Mafia, on the other hand, hailed particularly from the Foot Homes and Clearborn Homes public housing projects, although according to Redditors, the gang was spread all over the place, likely partly due to both Foot and Clearborn homes going through significant redevelopments during the 2010s, which forced families to move to other areas. GSM would also be active in the rap game in the early 2010s, but their most known rapper is likely none other than Key Glock, who would later sign to Young Dolph's PRE just like Kenny Money, and the two even have songs together going all the way back to the mid-2010s. There was also another gang hailing from the Foot Homes, the Trula Mafia, although this gang would too seemingly have presence all over South Memphis, including areas like Orange Mound, where they could be seen hanging out in their YouTube vlogs, which is close to areas like the Castilla Heights where Young Dolph hails from. Their alleged leader and the most known rapper was called J Money Trula, who would begin receiving some notable underground fame in the mid-2010s, after he would for some reason become heavily affiliated with none other than Chicago's Chief Keef, their friendship becoming so close to the point that J Money would begin to call his gang Glow Gang Trula or Glula Gang in honor of Chief Keef's Glow Gang. J Money was a very respected member and he would collab with numerous artists from different hoods, but Trula Mafia was seemingly...
I did not know he was close to Chief Keef like that. I ain't know that. I ain't know the damn. But that was probably when Chief Keef was like coming up. You know what I'm saying? In the ride, I'm trying to get out of Chicago, feed his family. One thing about Chief Keef is probably one of the smartest person to come out of Chicago. He did his little rapping shit, got his money, moved his family, and now he in LA, he living life, and he good. You know
Be
what I'm saying?
particularly close with Young Mob and their
wherever he, I don't know where
affiliates.
he at,
And J
but
Money
yeah.
would make songs with the Young Mob rappers like BEO, Lil Kenny, Big Motor, and even Moneybagg Yo, while also having made a song and music video with Young Dolph that was for some reason never released. Unfortunately though, like things usually go, all these gangs were not cool with each other, as there was a major divide between North and South Memphis at the time, with particularly Fam Mob and their affiliates, and Young Mob and their affiliates going at each other hard, as can be seen from numerous diss songs and other videos that are still up on YouTube.
Are they about to burn that?
Most notably from Young Mob's side, the dissing came from OG Boo Dirty, who would release several dedicated diss songs towards both Yo Gotti and Fam Mob in the summer of 2010. One of these songs titled simply F Yo Gotti, where he calls Yo Gotti Gotti, while another one would be a remix to Rick Ross's hit song BMF, which Yo Gotti also remixed with the name BMF Memphis, where he shouted out numerous Memphis street legends like Craig Petties and G-Train, while Boo Dirty would focus on dissing Gotti in his remix and insinuating that an incident had taken place at a club where Young Mob had allegedly tried to approach Yo Gotti and his entourage, but the Memphis police were present. Unfortunately, as these lyrics hint, the beef wouldn't just stay online and on tracks, and on the 29th of November 2010, an altercation between Young Mob and Yo Gotti and his entourage, which likely included Fam Mob members, would take place at the former Level 2 nightclub in East Memphis. Allegedly, a verbal altercation would first start between Boo Dirty and Yo Gotti. After a third person tried to intervene, the fight would get physical. This led to guns being drawn, and 6 people would end up getting shot during the chaos that ensued. One of the people shot was Boo Dirty himself, who would get hit in the buttocks, but thankfully...
That's the reason why, especially about parties, stuff like that, if it's not a family event or a birthday party or something like that, especially when you go to the club or a party, but anything can happen, anything can go down, and you can possibly lose your life just trying to have fun and live life. One thing why I do not go out to the clubs or parties because of shit like this, because it's gonna be some dumbass nigga, dumbass person that's gonna try to shoot it up or whatever just because, you know what I'm saying? I'm just talking about okay, when Traveler Ross was talking about this, it just reminded me like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying?
None of the injuries ended up life-threatening. A few weeks later, the news would report that Yo Gotti was wanted by the Memphis police in relation to the shooting incident. The following day, it was reported that 11 people were charged with an aggravated riot, which included Yo Gotti, real name Mario Mims, Boo Dirty, real name Lance Taylor, as well as BEO Lil Kenny, real name Kenneth Mason, who was only 19 at the time. The news would also report that this was by no means the only charges that Boo Dirty was facing, as he already had 2 other attempted murder charges from previous shootings that had taken place only a few months earlier. One of these took place at another club, and the other was a drive-by shooting, while he had also allegedly targeted the same victims with an aggravated arson. Then in January 2011, police would also arrest and charge Stupid Duke, real name Brian Lackland, who had allegedly also participated in the club incident against Yo Gotti. The altercation would become the first publicized incident between these two sides, but in the grand scheme of things, this was only the very beginning, and nobody could have seen at the time that this war would end up going on for well over a decade, and spilling over to include many of the most popular rappers to ever come out of the city of Memphis. While Yo Gotti, OG Boo Dirty, and their associated crews were deep in the North versus South Memphis war, a new rapper from Memphis was plotting his come-up. This was of course none other than Young Dolph, who had released his first mixtape Paper Route Campaign in 2008. Dolph hailed from the Castalia Heights neighborhood in South Memphis, an area that's largely its own island due to an industrial zone, vacant land, and train tracks surrounding it from all directions. Not surprisingly then, the kids from this area would seemingly rep Castalia above all else, with one gang from this area being called the Castalia Murder Mob, or CMM, which has alleged members who were affiliated with Dolph, such as the rapper Snoop Bands, who's part of the PRE label's current roster. Dolph himself, though, was seemingly never an active gangbanger, but rather a hustler who treated the rap game with the same attitude as the dope game. Starting by pushing out mixtape after mixtape in the early 2010s, such as Welcome to Dolph World in 2010, High Class Street Music 1 and 2 in 2011, and A Time to Kill and Blue Magic in 2012.
But it didn't seem like he is gone. It's like Dolph is not supposed to be gone, y'all. Like Dolph is still supposed to be here, bro. It's like, I'm just trying to figure out how did they catch him? Like, how they know he was gonna be there? There's somebody probably dropped his location because he was just getting cookies for his moms, bro. Like,
and Dolph's music operation and alleged dope operation before that was seemingly his business partner Daddy-O, real name Jeromel Moore, who came to know Dolph in the neighborhood from a young age, first providing him with the so-called package and later allegedly helping him to finance his independent label, the Paper Route Empire.
I met Dolph shooting basketball when he was about 10 years old. It was in the hood, we was hooping. I think he used to look up to me, man, because I used to have that jumper and that crossover, you feel me? I had what he wanted, that package.
Because Dolph wasn't directly gang affiliated, he had seemingly no problems working with rappers from all over Memphis, and in his early interviews, he would often shout out Yo Gotti, despite infamous South Memphis gangs like Young Mob already having a beef with Gotti that had turned violent.
You know what I'm saying? Salute to all.
I'm really trying to see. I don't think he wasn't even like, I don't know. But like, damn, like, you know, it's so sad, bro. It be these gangs that be fucking up for the rappers to even like get on a song together. Like, just imagine, bro, if we was able to have like a Lil Durk song with an FBG Duck, and from the GD side, from the BD side, from Chicago, and like a Young Dolph or Yo Gotti song. Like, a lot of these rappers, bro, that pass away because this game, because they're on separate sides, is like, damn, what happened if they just never, you know what I'm saying, bro? It's just, man, it's damn, bro.
The big dogs, you feel me? Salute to Gotti, salute to my boy Juicy J, you feel me? We tripping, man, you know what I'm saying?
Gotti 3-6 now, know what I'm saying? They let the world know what North Memphis is about, you know what I'm saying?
In 2012, Yo Gotti would even bring Young Dolph on stage during a show in Memphis to showcase the new talent coming out of his city.
Look at that, man.
But later that same year, Dolph would also collab on a song titled We Gone, together with OG Boo Dirty and Gucci Mane, who were both beefing with Gotti heavily at the time. The 2010 club shooting incident had at this point largely passed without major repercussions to either side, as the aggravated riot charges were dropped against Gotti, Boo Dirty, and several others due to lack of witnesses, while Boo Dirty had also beaten his separate attempted murder charge. And meanwhile, the two sides had continued holding deep grudges against each other. Gucci Mane and Yo Gotti on the other hand had fallen out after they both decided to drop their mixtapes on the 17th of October 2012, with Gucci obviously having a special connection to the 10/17 date, which would make him lash out against Yo Gotti.
See, and that's like the only thing is like, bro, the one thing, especially when you're not in the streets and you're say you're trying to make move people in your city and they beefing with some niggas that, you know what I'm saying, it's like, how do you stay neutral? It's because I didn't know you're just trying to make music and feed your family because they said have nothing to do with you. But niggas gonna be like, you gotta pick a side. You fuck with these niggas or you fuck with me and my crew. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, it's like, I gotta pick a side. At the end of the day, I just want to make music, feed my family, you know what I'm saying? But understand, because they're probably gonna think that you're trying to backdoor these niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Playmate drop that mixtape on 10/17. Why would you drop it if you ain't on 10/17? And when I call you as my partner to ask you why you did, you say, oh, I didn't know you were dropping the mixtape. Now the whole world know I'm dropping this mixtape, I'm promoting this mixtape. Both me and you on the top of World Star, you with a freestyle and me with a video, but you say you unaware that this mixtape gonna come, and I got a battle that says come out 10/17. So it just made me lose all respect for him instantly.
The song We Gone, where Dolph featured, was a simple, getting high anthem, but it was part of OG Boo Dirty's mixtape, The Definition of a G, that he dropped in December 2012 after signing with Gucci's 1017 Brick Squad label. And another song on this mixtape was Boo Dirty's collab with Gucci and Rocco titled Rap N-Words, which was a dedicated diss track towards Yo Gotti, where the trio rapped how they can't stand these rap dudes because they're so fake. And the collaboration between Gucci Mane and Young Dolph would continue in March 2013 when they would release a full mixtape together titled East Atlanta Memphis, which also included another feature with OG Boo Dirty on the track Get It Back. Clearly, while Dolph wasn't yet beefing with Yo Gotti directly, he had silently chosen his side in the beef, which had appeared to be the side of South Memphis and Young Mob. Meanwhile, things in the streets would keep developing. During the summer of 2012...
I mean, but also ain't Dolph from South Memphis, though? So it's like, if you from South Memphis... That's the one thing about choosing a side, though. Like, did he really choose a side? I mean, seemed like he did, but I mean, that's probably not what he intended, but... Who knows, bro?
Boo Dirty kept beefing with Yo Gotti on the music side. His brother, Stupid Duke, aka Brian Lackland, who had seemingly also avoided charges in the Club Riot case, would get his face blasted on the local news, as he was now a fugitive wanted by the Memphis police on very serious charges, including aggravated robbery and attempted first-degree murder. These charges stemmed from an incident where Duke and some other guys had allegedly set up a guy to get robbed by using Duke's girlfriend to lure the victim to Young Mob's territory. After the robbery, however, the victim would realize that he was in possession of Duke's phone, which would help the police go after him. But Duke, on the other hand, was in possession of the victim's phone, which also had the victim's address in it, and before the police could get after Duke, he tried to go after the robbery victim by going to his house guns blazing, leading to the attempted murder charges. Duke was eventually found guilty of all of these charges, leading him to be locked up for the next 9 years. But meanwhile, the street beef between North and South Memphis would keep escalating. In March 2013, Young Mob and True La Mafia members were seen together at a South Memphis club, where according to online rumors, they would run into some Fast Cash members, including the rapper Fast Cash C Money, who would allegedly get robbed by the leader of True La Mafia, the rapper J Money. Later that same night, Young Mob and True La members would stop at a gas station near the club, where the Fast Cash members would allegedly slide back to get their revenge, ending up shooting a 20-year-old Young Mob member named Young Key, real name Keyshawn White, who would die in his girlfriend's arms at the scene. These events would pull the Fast Cash boys into a direct conflict with the Young Mob and True La Mafia, and in the following weeks, the police would arrest and charge a 19-year-old Calvin McMickens, better known as Fast Cash Jizzle, and a 17-year-old Courtney Smith, aka Fast Cash C Money, for the murder of Young Key. But that's not where this case would end, because the following summer, when the case was about to go to trial, Jizzle, who was out on bond, and another Fast Cash member called Chopper Suge, real name Elvin Dorsey, would attempt to get rid of several witnesses in the case by ambushing them at their homes, with these attempts fortunately failing, despite the authorities finding
to get rid of witnesses. 43 rounds spent home, 7 kids inside, bro. 20-year-old is charged with attempted first-degree murder at the group. Oh my goodness, bro, to get rid of witnesses?
43 spent rounds at the scene. But the most explosive part about this incident was that according to Reddit rumors, it in fact targeted the home of none other than J Money and his family, with a screenshot of an affidavit later being posted to Reddit that showed J Money telling the police that the shooters were targeting him because he planned on testifying in the murder trial against the Fast Cash members who had allegedly killed Young Key. It seems that J Money never got on the stand though, and the Fast Cash members would end up beating the charges, as they would years later tell in their interview with DGB Media.
So what would you say is one of the biggest life lessons you guys learned?
Man, we went through it together.
Really?
Yeah, they probably were the toughest. That was the toughest situation we probably been through.
Had a little charge. We had a little murder charge.
That's not a little charge. That's a major charge.
Yeah, they right there. Like waking up not knowing if you finna come home or not. You know what I'm saying? You telling your folks you finna be home this week. This next court day they sit y'all. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be strong for this shit. Like, this shit went on for a couple years type shit.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying?
We overcame it though.
We overcame it, for sure.
Misunderstand.
Yep.
Both of you guys were charged?
Yeah, we both were charged.
Jeez.
But while the war in the streets kept escalating, something would also begin to go wrong in the relationship.
The interviewer or whatever's doing it, he popped him like, niggas lying right here, man. Back in the day, bro, it don't matter if you did it or not. It's up to the jury to figure out if you're guilty or not. You know what I'm saying? He say, she say. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? You gotta convince the jury, not the judge. But the jury.
Relationship between Young Dolph and Yo Gotti, because in October 2013, Young Dolph would release a song, Scared of Me, where he appeared to be taking direct shots at someone whose name he was keeping a secret, but whose baby mother he had apparently been intimate with. Based on what Young Dolph would later reveal about his escapades with the mother of Gotti's child, this was seemingly the first of many shots that Young Dolph would take at Yo Gotti. Still in July 2014 though, Dolph would publicly downplay any rumors that there was beef, rapping in the song What's Popping, how everyone keeps asking him what's going on between him and Gotti, but he just wants to talk about the new Porsche he's driving. However, only a month later, he would address the issue head on during his interview with the legendary radio show host Sway, saying that the true source of tension came from him refusing a record deal with Yo Gotti's CMG label.
Like, say Gotti wanted me to do man, come on bro, let's do CMG paper route. That's cool, I'm knocking for that. If I was him, I would have came to me like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But only thing was going to happen behind it was people like, oh, he popped off because of Gotti. You feel what I'm saying? Which I can't do that because I got too much of my own time and money invested in it. You feel what I'm saying? So, like I said,
and I know Gotti respect that because he did the same thing.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
The simmering tension finally exploded into violence at the start of 2015, though its origins ran far deeper than most people realized. And well before the first act of violence, the quiet war between Yo Gotti's CMG and Young Dolph's paper route empire had already begun rippling through Memphis studios and neighborhoods. As the conflict unfolded, attempts to trace who threw the first punch or spilled the first drop of blood almost always pointed back to Yo Gotti's camp. Yet, digging deeper, evidence suggested that the first real shots were fired a full year before Dolph ever became a target, and it all came to a head on February the 28th, 2015 during Charlotte's CIAA weekend takeover, a star-studded day party featuring T.I., Young Jeezy, and Yo Gotti at Club Label. Among the crowd on stage that night were Yo Gotti and members of CMG, alongside Young Dolph and his Paper Route Empire team. Former Young Jeezy affiliate Clem would look back on that night, sharing his first-hand account on a Humble Souls YouTube channel.
And the year we was there, that was like in the midst of Dolph just coming out and beefing with Gotti. I remember Dolph and them used to wear the orange PRE ski mask. You got CMG, you got us, you got Tip, and then you got the PRE.
Clem recalled seeing movement from Dolph's entourage.
Bro, that's like for you to have Young Dolph, Paper Route Team, Paper Route, or whatever it's called, and CMG at this. Something is, but that's like saying you have the Bloods, you got the Crips and shit like that at the same party something that's bound to happen. Something that's about to pop off. You know what I'm saying? That's like saying in Chicago having the GDs, the BDs, Vice Lords, and the other niggas in there.
Moments later, gunfire erupted, hitting Gotti's right-hand man and label vice president Howard Keon Wright.
So we in the club just chilling, but we know me and my people watch everything, and we know these got beef, so we just knowing something gonna go down. So next thing you know, we just watching, you just see these orange ski masks just creeping through VIP. Just creeping through VIP. And then they got up to where Gotti and them was, and all we know, we just heard gunshots. And I think they had shot Gotti's brother, Keon.
For both CMG and PRE, the Charlotte shooting marked the moment that everything changed, setting the stage for years of tension, retaliation, and loss that would ripple across Memphis. And according to this account, it was actually Dolph's side that fired that first shot, sparking a long and dangerous cycle of revenge. However, once the violence reached the public, the story began to take shape in a very different way, with Dolph being seen as the hero and Yo Gotti cast as the villain. And the next time the two would see Howard Wright in the news, he would be listed as a suspect instead of a victim. From there, the beef continued to get deeply personal, as Dolph doubled down on the track, pooping on the industry, seemingly rapping once again about the mother of Gotti's child, who was apparently still in contact with Dolph. And while Gotti had so far been silent about his beef, his November 2015 CM8 mixtape included some subliminals, like on the song Legendary, where Gotti seemed to address the fact that Dolph kept bringing up the mother of his child, calling it a sucker move. The song would also include a line of Gotti issuing a royal Memphis decree, rapping, "Never disrespect the king, you know you gotta see me about it." This was a challenge that Dolph simply could not ignore, and in February 2016, he made his boldest power play yet, announcing a new album that he would be calling The King of Memphis. The title itself was a direct provocation, as Yo Gotti had been calling himself the King of Memphis since the 2000s, back when he was battling it out with 3 6 Mafia, who had their own claim to the throne from even earlier. And to pour gasoline on the fire, Dolph set the release date for February the 19th, the exact same day that Yo Gotti was dropping his own album, The Art of Hustle. But while Dolph and Gotti traded words on tracks,
Bro. Man.
their camps were already
There was no beef at first, and there's just, bro,
mobilizing in the streets, and just a week later, the conflict erupted into a hail of gunfire. In late February 2016, Dolph was in Charlotte, North Carolina for the CIAA tournament, a major annual event known for its basketball games, concerts, and celebrity appearances. And following Dolph's performance at the Bubble Champagne Lounge on Saturday night, when members of his entourage arrived at the Hyatt Place Hotel in downtown Charlotte, gunmen from a vehicle opened fire on them, letting off over 40 shots into 2 cars at the hotel lobby. Miraculously, no one was injured, and in a quick turn of events, police would have 3 suspects in custody within just 2 days.
Will be in court today. Howard Wright, Kevin Thompson, and Derek Bolton are charged with shooting into an occupied dwelling and discharging a firearm in city limits. Charlotte-Mecklenburg police say officers in the area heard the gunshots early Sunday morning and stopped a car leaving the scene. They say Wright ran from the car and was caught carrying an AK-47 and a handgun.
One of these suspects happened to be Howard Wright, the road manager and vice president of Yo Gotti's music label CMG. But while Wright ultimately pled guilty and was sentenced to over a decade in prison, Yo Gotti himself was never officially linked to the shooting. But this was just the beginning, and only days later on March the 2nd, Yo Gotti's artist Black Youngster, a Memphis native who seemed to act as both a rapper and Gotti's #1 shooter in his hometown, would film himself leading an armed entourage through South Memphis, publicly declaring that he was looking for young Dolph.
Right now, cuz. Right now, cuz. What Dolph at, cuz? Where he at, cuz? Where he at? Where he at right now? Where he at? 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 See the level back? You see me? Dolph at, cuz. Where you at, Dolph? Where you at? Where you at? We in
once we wake up, once my people, my black people, my fellow saying, once we wake up and realize that we're not each other's enemies, we'll be stronger together and making music together than apart. I promise you, right? Like, just imagine, bro, if we was not beefing with each other, we were just like the Black Panther Party, just protecting our own and just protecting ourselves from the police. And just imagine, I'm telling you right now, and I hope we know the government, USA, do not want that shit. If we bring back the Black Panther Party movement shit and we're still together, The reason why they had to. Never mind.
Stay right now. We just left the store. Where you at right now, dog? Where you at right now? Where you at? Where you at? Where you? I love Castaic, but I don't Dolph. Dead. We don't Dolph.
Dolph would respond soon after via social media, where he appeared to be in high spirits and completely unbothered.
Hey, if I was these, I'd be mad at me too. You know what I mean? Yeah, all that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I still ain't got no tags. Yeah, you know what I mean? I be mad at me too, bro. You feel me? I be mad too, bro.
Yo Gotti continued to downplay the beef. Dolph responded directly on the remix of Trouble's track Ready, calling Black Youngster Fed for recording his trip to Dolph's hood, and mentioned staying in a hotel with the mother of Gotti's kids and doing the unthinkable day after day for a month straight, even ending the bar with the ad-lib facts just to drive home that this unbelievable freak-off marathon had indeed taken place. Black Youngster wasted no time either, and he responded the very same day with a track called Shake Something, where he mentioned Dolph by name, asking if he wanted to play, before rapping a bar that would later seem prophetic as he listed an arsenal of weapons before saying how he had 100 rounds on the Draco. Youngster would also ask how Dolph was the king of Memphis when he was originally from Chicago, before saying that he better lay low because Youngster's killers move on his command. But Dolph didn't lay low, as he would respond just one day later, accusing Yo Gotti in a video of trying to have legal charges filed against him, clowning Black Youngster and pointing towards Gotti's long history of hating.
Hey, I've been spraying your for years. The whole city know that. Gotti, you was a. I just got back to the city. They say you trying to put charges on me and put the police on me. You send your little to do all your talking. Talk for yourself. That big head Down syndrome looking hate on everybody from the city that gets some real money. You start out hating on 3-6. They were having Oscars and you had to hate because you were broke. That's the only way you can get attention, boy. You were broke, boy. Now you hating on Dolph. You were.
Towards the end of March 2016, Dolph was.
Man. Just like. I understand, but then it's like, come on, bro, all this beef. See, now the thing is, let's say if Dolph and Gotti, you know what I'm saying, squash the beef before, you know what I'm saying, Dolph unfortunately lost his life. And they probably squash the beef, but it's the niggas that is in the group and behind them that is not gonna squash the beef. That's the only thing. It can be the same shit with Dirk and Youngboy. I feel like in the future, Dirk and Youngboy will squash it. But it's the niggas behind them that do not want to squash the beef. You know what I'm saying? Same shit with Dirk. Try to squash it with Dirk and them niggas. They probably will squash it. But niggas behind them do not want to squash it. You know what I'm saying?
Was also captured on video, telling a live concert audience about his favorite topic, sleeping with Yo Gotti's baby mother.
Check this out. Y'all know why this man. The little dudes look broke, little pee-wee. I don't even know this shit. But his boss knows. That man. He just man called baby mama. That's all that. Hey, try it. Oh, God, get his baby mama out my.
A surprising but crucial piece in this brewing beef between Dolph and Gotti would end up being none other than J Money from the True La Mafia, who so far had been close with both sides, as he had posted himself meeting Dolph numerous times throughout 2015, as well as other people associated with Paper Route Empire, and he'd even repped PRE solo by wearing their hoodie. But he had also been meeting with Yo Gotti too, even having video calls with him, as well as hanging out with Yo Gotti's shooter Black Youngster. However, it seems that in April 2016, J Money would choose his side, as he would post several pictures on his Instagram of him meeting with Dolph and his business partner Daddio, as well as other PRE members during a listening party for the PRE mixtape Bosses and Shooters, captioning one photo by saying that he looks at Dolph and Daddio as brothers and he will ride with them, right or wrong. A few days later, he would post another photo, this time writing that he didn't give an F about what people thought about him hanging out with Dolph, and said that it was all love between them. In the coming months, J Money would keep posting himself together with Dolph, showing that they were even making music together. Moreover, based on how much he was also seemingly spending time with Daddio, it seemed that either Daddio had begun to manage him too, or he was perhaps about to even sign with Paper Route Empire. And in July, he would in fact call both Dolph and Daddio his CEOs, while also making music with other PRE artists like Jay Fizzle. Then in early August, J Money would come out with a big announcement, saying that he was joining Dolph for his royalty tour that lasted the entire month. And soon, he would indeed post photos from the tour, showing himself posing next to the tour bus during their third stop in San Diego. However, for some reason, J Money would return back to Memphis before the tour was over, and in the early morning hours of August the 20th, he would be at the Kittens Cabaret strip club in South Memphis around 4 a.m. as J Money was seemingly hanging out in the club's parking lot. A shooting would take place, and when the police arrived at the scene soon after, they would find an unresponsive J Money, real name Jerome White, with a fatal gunshot wound.
It's crazy, bro. That's crazy, boy. That's crazy. Damn.
which would end his life seemingly as he was just about to take his rap career to the next level with Dolph and Daddio. His killer was identified as 37-year-old Freddie Yarborough, who was captured a few months later, and he would eventually plead guilty to the murder, which the prosecutors described as gang-related. J Money had been highly respected in Memphis, and he was considered someone who received love in the city no matter where he went, although in the months leading up to his death, he had seemingly chosen his side in the war between Dolph and Yo Gotti. But in the years following J Money's death, his absence in the streets would cause a domino effect with enormous consequences, causing old gangs to splinter into new ones, and eventually causing his gang, the Trula Mafia, to do a complete 180 with some of his best friends turning on young Dolph and the PRE, with all of this eventually culminating to the boiling point where they would eventually hunt down and assassinate Dolph in broad daylight. To fully understand—
What? Don't tell me these the niggas that was hanging out with J Money, the one that killed Dolph. There's no way.
The events that led to Dolph's murder, we need to have a quick overview of things that would take place in South Memphis gang underworld in the late 2010s, as J Money's death in 2016 coincided with a period in Memphis when the homicide rate began sharply rising. In the streets, this rise in homicides would coincide with an increasing splintering of gangs to even smaller cliques, creating a highly complex web of new alliances and rivalries. Without the leadership of J Money, his Trula Mafia would break down, with some of the newer generation keeping affiliations with the original Trula Mafia, but also starting some new cliques, one of these being called the Ape Gang, while another one became known as Young and Ruthless, aka YNR, as well as Off the Crank, or OTC. Meanwhile, other members would move on to start a completely new gang called RR, which stands for Rich and Ruthless. Perhaps the best known RR member would be the rapper Big Scar, real name Alexander Woods, who still repped Trula at the end of 2016, but already by mid-2017, he had seemingly begun repping the RR. Things would then take a deadly turn in the summer of 2018, when RR member BG, aka Baby Grape, real name Malik Holland, was allegedly murdered by 3 Trula members, C-Mode, Lil Zay, and Go Crazy, real name Carlos Lacey, who would end up getting charged with the murder. Lil Zay would meet an even worse fate, as he was gunned down not long after in a case where his killer, a man named Daryl Thurman, tried to first claim self-defense and then argued that he had seen visions of Zay attacking him before shooting him in the back. C-Mode, on the other hand, would return home from jail after a separate case and start dissing RR via music.
That's crazy how one person can be the fall to the gang and people splitting up and setting each other up, and they used to be cool with each other. That shit is it's the same shit when Elliot Capone lost his life in T600. After that was not the same. That is, bro, that'd be crazy.
Naming himself as the main op, but his run as a rapper would be short-lived, as he would eventually be charged with 7 counts of attempted murder after shooting up a house not once but twice within just a few days apart, which the police considered related to the beef between Trula and RR and the murder of BG, where C-Mode had been named as a person of interest. People on both sides of this new rivalry would keep taking heavy losses, with RR losing one of their most loved members, called 2-3, real name Kalitri Boone, in September 2018, after a fight between 2 groups would escalate into a shooting that would leave 2-3 and 2 others dead at the Cane Creek apartments in South Memphis. A few years later, in May 2020, J Money's little brother, D Money, real name Derek Blackburn, who had himself started rapping in an attempt to continue his brother's legacy, would also be shot dead while he was driving in his car in South Memphis. Later that year, RR rapper CEO Jizzle would rap in his song Rich and Ruthless that if you diss 2-3 then you're going to die, before asking the listener if they've heard what happened to the last guy and saying that he got left on Trigg Street. This was a direct diss aimed towards D Money, who was not only killed on Trigg Avenue, but had also indeed dissed 2-3 just a few months before he was killed. In fact, a few days after dissing 2-3, D Money would post a text message on Facebook where someone would threaten him and let him know that they knew what car he was driving, and that
when I catch you and I charge you on grape, you must lay beside your They knew what car you're driving. What if their ops know what car you're driving? You gotta change the car immediately. If they know what car you're driving, you gotta. Damn,
they were going to leave him dead just like his brother. D-Money's killer would never be caught, but later on, rumors would spread that he was allegedly killed by a rapper known as Big Unk, formerly known as Uncle Danny CMG, with the CMG in this case referring to C-Money Gang in honor of his friend who had passed away in 2015, not the CMG record label of Yo Gotti. But while Big Unk, real name Daniel Banks, seemingly repped CMG above all else, he was also close with RR, including the RR rapper Big Scar, and had seemingly also been very close with BG, who Trula Mafias had allegedly killed, giving him a possible motive to kill D-Money. These rumors were problematic as Big Unk had been signed to Young Dolph's PRE label in 2021, with J Money and D-Money's mother voicing on Facebook her disappointment that Dolph, who had seemingly been so close with J Money before his death, would sign her brother's alleged killer to his label, even directly mentioning Big Unk's name. While Trula members would swear on social media that people were going to die for D-Money, Dolph had also signed another rapper called Big Moochie Grape, who repped DTH, or Dusttown Hogs, which is a known Grape Street Crip set with LA origins. But Moochie was also very close with R and would commonly make music with Big Scar and Big Unk, which would likely further anger Trula members who must have felt that Dolph had purposely switched on them with their enemies. There would also be other shakeups amongst the South Memphis gangs that would end up playing.
At the end of the day, bro, that has nothing to do with fucking Dolph. Like, bro, why do niggas do this, bro? Yes, y'all niggas have beef. What the fuck does that have to do with Dolph and y'all niggas beefing? He just signed the niggas. At the end of the day, he's trying to make his money, make his paper, feed his family. What does that have to do with him? Because y'all niggas are beefing. How the fuck is that him picking? Never mind.
Crucial role in the events that were about to unfold. Sometime in the latter part of the 2010s, a new clique would form who called themselves the Knock Back Gang, or KSBG. Like most of the new cliques, this one too would have members from all over the city, but interestingly, one of their main turfs would be the New Horizon Apartments project, which had formerly been home to the Kinggate Mafia. But unlike the Kinggate Mafia, who had been allies of Young Mob, the KSBG would start to have beef with Young Mob, or if the feds are to be believed, they would become Young Mob's principal rival. According to Reddit rumors, one factor causing this rivalry would go all the way back to 2015, when a Young Mob member called Lil Migo, real name Corey Shaw, had allegedly been robbing other Young Mob members, and as revenge, Young Mob decided to kill him, although they had allegedly tried to frame the Fast Cash Boys for the murder by committing it in the gang's territory in Raleigh. This murder would allegedly lead to deep disagreements within Young Mob, and as a result, some of the members, including Lil Migo's brother Baby Migo, would branch off to start the KSBG, who also call themselves the Migo Gang in Corey's honor. The gang includes several well-known rappers such as Musty G, Cheese Dollar, Big Nooski, and most notably Big 30. KSBG would since the beginning be very close with another clique known as Chopper Gang, who are of course best known for the rapper Pooh Shiesty, with Shiesty and Big 30 having been very close with each other since the beginning of their music careers. Chopper Gang and KSBG would also originally be close with R, particularly through Big Scar, who's actually Pooh Shiesty's real-life cousin.
Because of OG fatties out here. Double R gang, man. Chopper gang. I ain't even know what's going on, man.
Shiesty and Big Scar would not only make music together, but they would also both get signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 label. Although Big Scar would also be close with Young Dolph and PRE, like R, Chopper Gang would also have their own beef with Trula Mafia, and particularly their affiliated clique YNR. And this beef would in 2019 lead to a shootout that would leave a Chopper Gang member called Rico, real name Derico Houston, dead after he was reportedly dropped off by his friends in front of a hospital. The police would later arrest another Chopper Gang member called Mitch, real name Mitchell Conrad, in relation to the shooting, and he would seemingly tell police all about the incident that had led to Rico's death. Pooh Shiesty, on the other hand, would rap about the incident in his 2019 song Day One, seemingly insinuating that Rico had called him 5 times before the shooting happened, and therefore Shiesty still tries to call him back, unable to accept that his friend is gone. In Reddit rumors, on the other hand, particularly a Trula and YNR member called BJ Capone has also been associated with the shooting, with one user claiming that the beef between these two crews goes all the way back to their childhood, as Chopper Gang members like Pooh Shiesty grew up in the same circles as Trula Mafia youths, and Shiesty can be seen in old pictures.
Told you, bro. It be the nigga. See? Be some niggas that you grew up with, y'all start beefing. It be saying shit with Duck and Dirk and all them. They grew up together. Y'all have your own clique and gang. Split y'all nigga.
Honoring a fallen member called OG Lump by repping a clique called OLG, or OG Lump Gang, while OG Lump was also affiliated with gangs like Young Mob, Goon Squad Mafia, and Trula Mafia. Even Key Glock can be seen repping the same clique in his old YouTube videos, showing just how connected all these rappers were from their childhoods. Big 30, on the other hand, would end up signing with Moneybagg Yo's Bread Gang Entertainment in 2019, as would another KSBG rapper called Big Nooski, which would cause further static between KSBG and Young Mob, because not only had Moneybagg Yo signed with Young Mob's old enemy Yo Gotti in 2016, but in 2019 Moneybagg Yo would do a song with the Fast Cash rapper Jizzle, who had allegedly killed the Young Mob member Young Key back in 2013. For Young Mob, this was unforgivable, and in 2020 the Young Mob founder Stupid Duke would give an interview from prison where he was still serving his long sentence for the case he caught back in 2012, saying that this was something that he could never forgive, and it would forever be beef with Moneybagg Yo from now on.
So what's really going on with you and Moneybagg?
Moneybag crossed the line, you know, it's forever, he smoked for life. You know, he did a song with a dude, killed one of the homeboys. He got his face on the CD cover, all of them got his name tattooed on those. He just did some foul stuff that you can't never come back from. So, you know, it's smoke. It used to be Young Mom, and he did a song with a dude to kill Young Mom. So, you know, it's forever.
Oh, he used to be Young Mob. Oh, okay. I'm like,
never stop. This is Lewis.
So was he Young Ma from the beginning?
Yeah, he was Young Mom from the beginning. He got it tatted on him. Yeah, he Young Mom. He's from the neighborhood originally.
In the same interview, Duke would say that there would be possible collaboration between him and PRE once he would be released from prison, showing that Dolph was still close to Young Mob. This was also reflected in the fact that in 2019, Young Dolph would sign the Young Mob rapper Kenny Money, who had a childhood connection to Key Glock, the two having made music together all the way back in 2015. All of these new affiliations and rivalries would play in the background, while the beef between Yo Gotti and Young Dolph would keep escalating, and either by choice or by accident, Young Dolph too would become entrenched in them, and True La Mafia's beef with Double R and their growing alienation by Dolph and PRE would seem.
That's so crazy how True La Mafia used to be PRE. J Money passed away. Now True is fucking with CMG. That's what I be saying. Y'all gotta be watching who y'all fucking around with, bro. Cause some y'all niggas be cool. Niggas split up, go fuck with your ops. Look at this shit. True La Mafia member. True La Mafia used to be cool with Dolph and them, with PRE, because of J Money. He passed away. Now they beef people beefing inside the camp. Now you got True La Mafia fucking with Young Gotti and CMG now.
Only drive them towards Yo Gotti CMG, while Double R would become closer with PRE through rappers like Big Unk and Big Scar. Young Mob would seemingly since the beginning side with PRE, with artists with deep ties to the gang like
That's
Kenny Money even signing
now?
to the label, while their main rival KSBG, which had several rappers with close ties to Moneybag Yo's Bread Gang Entertainment, aka BGE, would seem to naturally side with CMG given Moneybag Yo's close ties to Yo Gotti. The same also applied to Pooh Shiesty's Chopper Gang, aka CGE, who remained very closely tied in with KSBG through Shiesty's long friendship with the KSBG rapper Big 30. But unfortunately, the streets and the music industry would eventually cross paths with the deadliest consequences for Young Dolph. By late 2016, the tension between Young Dolph and Yo Gotti was undeniable, and it seemed like each month brought another reason for their animosity to grow. On one hand, the conflict was good for business, particularly for Gotti, who was not just using the beef to boost his own publicity, but also hype up his artist Black Youngster, who had become well known as Yo Gotti's shooter through both his music and the other social media antics. Dolph, on the other hand, would seemingly use Gotti's own weapons against him, perhaps knowingly, or maybe this was just another example of history repeating itself, because just like their beef had supposedly begun after Young Dolph had refused to sign with Yo Gotti.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy, yo. Just think about. That's the one thing. When you be a rapper, bro, you from the hood, like you gotta pick a side, bro. It's like, damn. And sometimes you don't want to pick a side, but then it's like, if you're making music when these niggas pick because you know, it's like, that's pretty much like you picking that side, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn.
Yo Gotti's own beef with the 3-6 Mafia during the late 90s and early 2000s was preceded by 3-6 trying to sign Gotti to their label, which Gotti refused, as DJ Paul would later tell DJ Vlad.
Gotti was almost with us. I still got a contract at home where me and Jason was gonna sign Gotti, but it never went through.
Really? You guys were gonna sign Yo Gotti?
Yeah, I got a contract at home with Gotti's name on it right now.
He never signed it?
No, he didn't sign it.
How come he didn't sign it?
I don't know.
Not enough money at the time, or?
I don't know, to be honest.
And just like Dolph would use his image as a successful independent artist and label owner to diss Gotti, Gotti himself had once used this very same angle to diss 3-6 Mafia.
To all my independents out there, man, do what you do, man. Get your money, go to your homeboy garage, room, whatever, put your out. Man, get you a couple 100,000 units, sell them. You can't sell them, get them away. But what you don't do is wait on these superstar head DJs and PDs. You hear me? Man, them ran so much should be pregnant. You hear me? For real. I'm talking about.
The similarities between Gotti's come up and Young Dolph's rise wasn't lost on Crunchy Black, another original member of 3-6 Mafia, who noted how Gotti himself had even made a song in 2000 titled After I F Your B, which was all about dissing his ops by telling him he had taken their girl, just like Dolph would constantly rap about his fling with the mother of Gotti's kid.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
But a long time ago, he had a song called If I Your Baby Mama, I'll Tell You About It. We was kids when he had that song, you know what I'm saying? And To me, that's the same thing Dolph was saying. I your baby mama. And I'm gonna tell you about it. You get what I'm saying?
But by the end of 2016, there was a slight shift from CMG as Black Youngster began suddenly downplaying the feud, even giving Dolph credit during his XXL magazine interview and saying that he deserved his XXL cover, which at least for the moment suggested the air might be clearing.
What's personal about this? Like, don't do me like that, man. Like, yeah, you know, I'm just keeping it 100, bro. But I think it's a Memphis thing, cause I ain't even see Dolph on there. Dolph should have been on there a long time ago.
That's interesting.
Don Tripp should have been on there.
But Dolph was not sharing the sentiment, and he would make his own opinion very clear on the same platform weeks later, saying that Black Youngster was beneath him and only trying to use Dolph's beef with Gotti to build his career.
He didn't say nothing bad about you. The footage is out, and he said you should have been on that XXL cover. How you feel about that, man?
I don't want to talk about the hood, man.
What about the XXL?
You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't even, it's all that fake. You know what I'm saying? A little dude don't even know me, so all that fake. He can't conversate about me. He good. Just let him do whatever he doing. You know what I mean? The thing is, Dolph and Yo Gotti. You know what I mean?
Then in late October, Yo Gotti made a major move by signing the rising South Memphis rapper Moneybagg Yo. Beyond the effects that this signing might have had on the streets, which we discussed in the previous chapter, on the industry side, it allowed Yo Gotti to indirectly pull another major Memphis artist into the beef. And within days, the two dropped a joint mixtape called 2 Federal, where Gotti appeared to address Dolph without naming.
That's the one thing, bro, is when you're signing somewhere, you probably try to side for some music, but when you do that, you're pretty much picking a side. You already picked a side. Even if you didn't intend to pick a side, you pretty much already pick a side. You know what I'm saying? When you sign with a person that you know what I'm saying, when they got beef with something, you know what I'm saying?
Directly admitting that he'd been watching Dolph's interview and saying he didn't like his energy. A few months later, in December, Gotti released his mixtape, CM9 White Friday, that once again delivered thinly veiled shots at Dolph, as Gotti accused Dolph of dividing the city, while Gotti was supposedly trying to unite it. It seems at this point that Dolph had had enough of the subliminals and behind-the-scenes power plays, and he would then decide to bring everything out into the open.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, come around me like, bro, you heard such and so, you heard his new mixtape? Oh, you heard this? I'm like, no, I don't listen to their music. I don't listen to the music. I don't listen to a lot of people's music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially not this sucker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man, they play it. So his last 2 mixtapes, he trying to slick this Dolph, trying to throw. It's like you playing. You know what I'm saying? So you want to play? I ain't finna play how you want to play. We're gonna play how I want to play. I'm finna get ready to go and expose you and let the facts be out here. Facts on top of facts. And that's why he don't even know how to respond.
In February 2019, Dolph released the explosive track Play With Your, a direct diss track aimed squarely at Yo Gotti, where Dolph didn't hold back one bit, as he would call Gotti's raps about his past as a big-time dope dealer made up, before rapping how Gotti had gone from his biggest fan to his biggest hater just because he didn't want to sign with him. And Dolph wouldn't aim the disses just at Gotti, but the entire of CMG, even dissing Gotti's brother and business partner behind the CMG label, Big Jook, by rapping how Dolph is still the same guy who used to front drugs to Jook when they were both pushing dope. There would also be a diss aimed towards someone from Dolph's hood who was on Yo Gotti's team. Most fans would seemingly take this as a diss towards Moneybagg Yo, as they're both from South Memphis, although Dolph is from Castalia and Moneybagg Yo from Walker Homes. But based on Gotti's social media, he does seem to also too have some contacts in Castalia who Dolph could have been referring to. The release of the song was followed by a music video that went the extra mile by casting a Yo Gotti lookalike that seemed to be meticulously modelled on Gotti's head shape and hairline, alongside a lookalike of Yo Gotti's brother Big Jook too. And arguably, there was even a...
Yeah, that's how you know that beef is serious. If they look at it.
character in the video that looks a lot like Hernandez Govan, who would later be implicated as the alleged mastermind behind Dolph's murder. And speaking of that, the sneak dissing that Gotti had been doing was seemingly not the only reason why Dolph decided to go after him hard, because just one day later, Dolph would release his mixtape Gelato, where on the intro track by the same name, he would suddenly reference that there had been a bounty put on his head, rapping how he had heard that someone had a hit out on him and wishing the shooters good luck. Unfortunately, it would turn out that Dolph's intel was on point, and once again his life was in danger in the very same place it had been a year before, as Dolph would attend another weekend at Charlotte, North Carolina for the annual CIAA basketball tournament, where he would be making another series of performances and appearances. That Sunday evening, as Dolph and his entourage were driving near downtown Charlotte, they were suddenly ambushed as another vehicle pulled up beside them and started spraying bullets. According to police, more than 100 rounds pierced the air that evening, hitting surrounding vehicles and apartments, but miraculously, no one was injured by these 100 shots, with some of the onlookers filming the aftermath and describing the incident like something out of a movie.
This what happened. I'm sitting up here, I seen him pull off right here.
Yeah, pull off right
here. Bro, a truck came from right here, pulled up and slammed on brake. And like a moving, bro.
Yeah, and they start shooting, and they're backing up. They put a car in the truck.
That's how they start backing up.
Yeah, they're backing up. I saw them.
No. You know what's crazy though? But they top of that with a on the serious? Top with it just yes. But it's a bulletproof vest. It's a bulletproof bulletproof vehicle. Nothing bulletproof.
Meanwhile, Dolph's bulletproof Cadillac Escalade that he had spent $600,000 to armor absorbed the barrage of bullets, leaving the rapper completely unharmed. It was clear at this point that while Dolph was talking crazy on his tracks and interviews, essentially taunting his enemies and daring them to try and kill him, he was also moving smart, knowing that someone would eventually at least try to test him for real. However, he was also refusing to let his...
We're here to do their business and stuff like that. People are going to want to come try to take you out, bro. It's just... I don't know why it is.
Enemies see any signs of weakness from him, and within a few hours of the attempt on his life, Dolph was already on stage performing the very same diss track that may have caused the attempt in the first place. The same attitude was on full display on his social media, where he would soon post a simple message to his enemies, "You lose," indicating that the shooters had lost to young Dolph after he survived the attempt on his life. But since Dolph had either accidentally or purposefully spelled it incorrectly, it would also give the message another meaning, that his enemies were moving loose out here and it was only a matter of time before the law would get them. Later on, as Dolph would recount the incident on XXL, he would downplay its seriousness to further taunt the people behind it, calling it a minor inconvenience.
They started shooting, they shot. Shooting was over with. And I had another party to go to that night. You know what I mean? So.
But it was clear that for Dolph, this had been much more than that, and besides the incident likely giving him the self-assurance that he knew how to move correctly, he also saw the potential that the widely publicized incident provided to further boost his career. And by April 2017, Dolph would go all in with a release of a new album titled Bulletproof, which featured a black Escalade on the cover, just like the one he'd been in the night of the incident. And that was just the beginning, because the project also included a track list that read like a message directed towards those who had just tried to kill him, with the track listing reading 100 shots in Charlotte, but I'm bulletproof, so F 'em, that's how I feel. I
mean, that is a good way to boost your career, but that's kind of a negative way too, though. Like, might be kids trying to watch a basketball game and nigga just start shooting it just because they hit niggas so bad, try to, you know what I'm saying?
All of them, I'm so real, I pray for my enemies, I'm everything you want to be, shake my head. The most revealing track on the project was That's How I Feel, featuring Gucci Mane, where Dolph revealed the exact amount the alleged bounty on his head was by rapping, "For 100 shots, I heard you paid 100 stacks, hope you got your receipt, go and get your 100 back." He followed this with lyrics that implied that he was talking about Yo Gotti, once again mentioning the mother of his kid before recounting the shooting, and ending with a line that seems ominous in hindsight, rapping how he wasn't about to go out like Tupac or Biggie. Shockingly, the trial of young Dolph's alleged killers, more than 5 years later, would reveal that $100,000 was indeed the exact bounty placed on his head. After 2 weeks of silence, following the release of the album, Gotti finally addressed the topic on stage with a response that sounded rather incriminating, as he told fans that you'll never see him do internet beef because Gotti and his crew pull up in person. And this line would start to sound even more incriminating by the following month, as authorities put out warrants for possible suspects, shockingly implicating none other than CMG top shooter himself, Black Youngster, real name Sammy Benson, alongside a man named Frederick Black and Antavius Gardner, charging them with 6 counts of discharging a weapon into an occupied property and 1 count of felony conspiracy. As Youngster would be spotted by the media on his way to surrender, he protested his innocence, telling that he had done nothing, seen nothing, and heard nothing.
The Memphis-based rapper, who goes by the name Black Youngster, is facing charges connected to a wild gun battle that happened in the middle of Caldwell Street. The dangerous shootout sent dozens of bullets flying into houses and cars, nearly hitting children.
I ain't fired nothing. I don't know nothing. I ain't seen nothing. I ain't do nothing.
Police sources say the shooting involved 2 rappers. Later, a rapper named Young Dolph.
Meanwhile, Youngster's lawyer asserted that even the van used in the shooting had been rented in his client's name, but it had actually been stolen before the incident, while Youngster himself would hit the reporters with a rather odd line, saying how obviously someone was snitching. Just a few days after his arrest, after bailing out, Black Youngster would go on to explain what he had likely meant with that line by releasing the track Birthday, where he blamed Dolph's lyrics for implicating him in the crime. However, according to Dolph, no one had snitched since Youngster had rented the vehicle under his own name.
Hey, I just rented van in my name, right? You know what I'm saying? And we finna go dump on it. We finna jump out 6 deep. 100 shots.
After 2 years of legal maneuvering, it turned out that nobody was in fact snitching, as Youngster's charges were eventually dropped due to lack of evidence, with the DA even adding that Youngster had a rock-solid alibi and there were no witnesses or scientific evidence linking him to the shooting. This surprising turn of events would raise the question of why nobody had at any point explained to Black Youngster that snitching and ratting don't usually refer to lying, but the opposite. Gotti, on the other hand, returned to distancing himself from the feud publicly.
You know, someone attempted on Dude's life in Charlotte.
No situation.
So it's no situation on your behalf.
It definitely seems one-sided, the way, you know, the energy he's putting into
Yo
it.
Gotti don't be in situations. Yo Gotti get money. Yo Gotti help artists come up and build careers for their family. You know what I mean? Yo Gotti helps young cats from the hood change their life. Yo Gotti don't be in situations. We don't get in nothing negative.
Meanwhile, both Yo Gotti's CMG and Young Dolph's PRE labels would keep gaining prominence in the rap industry, and while CMG still reigned over the Memphis rap scene, Paper Route Empire was starting to build its own formidable legacy, with the year 2017 being particularly pivotal as Dolph would sign the rapper Key Glock to his roster. Glock, who was a talented rapper in his own right, was also Young Dolph's actual blood cousin.
Like really, like that's my family, like that's my real blood, so everything we agree on, like, is very.
Anyways, man, that is it for part 1. Be back for part 2, and I'll see you guys in part 2. Yes, sir.